Good morning and welcome to Jesus the Good Shepherd Anglican Church. My name is Father Howard Giles. Today is Thursday, June 30th, 2022. Last week, the United States Supreme Court issued a historic decision reversing Roe versus Wade. And in essence, what that did is removed the legislative act of the court in enforcing abortion across all states to now putting it back into the hands of the individual states. This is historic, but there is still so much work to be done. Here in the state of Nevada, many are preparing for us to become a kind of a destination place for parents that want to murder their children while in the womb. And that's exactly what it is. It's murder within the womb. And so we do have some role to play in the politics of our state and talking with people of goodwill who are willing to talk with us about the importance of preserving the sanctity of life. While we do that, what is really going to change the reality of children being murdered is to change the hearts of parents. And so how do we do that? How do we change the hearts and minds of the parents of children? First of all, we have this idea of wanted and unwanted children, and somehow a child that wasn't planned becomes less wanted. And so we have this idea of planned versus unplanned, wanted versus unwanted, and this is a very recent idea. At the turn of the 20th century, in 1900, there was virtually no church body in the world that promoted or spoke in any positive way about contraception. The idea was that children bring poverty, that the more children one has, the poorer one is. This is simply not the case. We know that what brings poverty is to not finish education, before getting married, and to have children before being married, because we know that children are expensive. The children do take a lot of work, and that is best done within a family. And so if one does not have education and one is not married, a child can be very difficult to raise, but it's still not the child that brings poverty. It's the lack of an organized and deliberate and disciplined life. So the first thing that we need to do is to address this issue of contraception. And what has this done to our society? This has made our society think that physical intimacy, that sexuality is removed somehow from procreation. It removes it from being a procreative act. And so when people talk about sexual intimacy, procreation could be far down on that list or not even considered at all. When everything physically, biologically about physical intimacy is leading towards procreation. That's the meaning of it. So we make it entertainment, we make it political, when we make it self-expression, so many other things. We make it about anything but procreation and love. Our sexual lives become disordered. So that's the first thing that we need to do. The second thing that we need to do as we talk more and more is the role of fathers. And while many have encouraged us to have children, to help mothers with the care of their children, to help women that are pregnant with the medical resources, and to consider adoption and foster care, and all these are absolutely essential and wonderful practices. We need to address the role of fathers, because it's husbands, boyfriends, and fathers primarily that are encouraging women to get abortions, either by some kind of coercion or by walking away from their duty and responsibility. And none of this is going to change if we don't build up and strengthen the boys in our society to become responsible men who see their role as protecting and caring for women and children. And so we have to promote this idea, number one, with the young boys and men in our parishes and congregations, so that we can set that example. And so what does that mean? It means that we have discipline over our own bodies. It means that we exercise discipline in who we're going to be physically intimate with and who we're going to be sexual with, and understanding that when we do have physical intimacy, that's a procreative act. and that it's not about what we want, but about what we're doing. If we are planting corn, we can't be surprised that corn grows. And so we have to just eliminate that idea that we're going to be surprised that someone becomes pregnant. So then when we do that, we see all that we do in physical intimacy is going towards having children. Then we have to be prepared. We have to prepare ourselves. We have to prepare our homes. And that means that we are giving up selfishness and we are starting to live for others. If we're going to have women that are able to care for their babies, that are going to be able to breastfeed, that are going to be able to spend time with them, to connect with them, to nurture them, to raise them, all of that is made possible by a father, by a husband who supports his wife, who makes a home for her, who provides for her, who is emotionally supportive, who is comforting, who is reassuring, who looks for opportunities to make sure that the work around the home is getting done, to make sure that she is supported emotionally and spiritually and physically so that she can care for a child, because a mother in bed with a newborn nursing infant needs to just do that. And that means that fathers need to get over themselves and their own hobbies and egos and whatever else might get in the way and serve their wives and serve the mothers of their children first and foremost. And then when we do that and we make that about our lives, then we are going to be able to encourage others to do the same. We're going to be able to set that example. And we'll be able to set that example by adopting or having foster children. But how are we going to have foster children in our homes if we don't understand the self-sacrifice that comes with that, and if we're not willing to do that? And how are we going to encourage other people to care for children that are so-called unwanted if we're not making our own homes ready? So it's going to start with us as the Christians in our community and the Christians in our churches, looking at our own marriages, looking at our own relationships, looking at our own families, and thinking first and foremost, how am I setting an example for self-sacrifice? How am I laying down my life for the children in my home and in my congregation, so that they are welcome, so that they are nurtured, and so that they are fed, and so that they are wanted? We have to want the children that we have. We have to take responsibility for our own sexual behavior. And we have to first and foremost set that example of caring for children in our own community. Then we'll be able to change hearts and minds through prayer and through self-discipline, so the men in our community are ready to stand up and say, that's a child that's wanted. That's a child that's loved, and I'll do all in my power to protect their life and to serve them and care for them and to raise them up to be worshipers of the Most High God. May our land be blessed. May our country be blessed. May we be protected from violence of all kinds. And may we receive the cross so that we are able in self-discipline to stand firm, to hold fast, and to serve those who are the most vulnerable. God bless.